You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
I'm Katrina, and I love anime.
I'm Steven, and I'm aware of anime.
But what if that affection could rub off?
Perhaps that excitement in her eyes got me curious.
I could offer up some solid anime.
I could give them a watch, just to see what all the fuss is about.
And maybe, just maybe,
I could learn to love anime too.
welcome to Inspired by a Weeaboo. Hello, all my wonderful weebs. Welcome back to Inspired by a Weeaboo. I am your host, Katrina, and with me is my husband, Steven.
Well, hello there.
We just finished episode... What was it?
27.
27. We just finished episode 27 of Fullmetal Alchemist. Steven, what did you think?
It was interesting to get to know the teacher a little bit. I feel like there's a lot more to her that we still need to get to know, but for the nuts and bolts of this episode, I felt like we got what we needed to know, because she's a firecracker, all right. She's rough around the edges, so we pick right back up at the end of the last episode where Al comes running in being like, "You'll never guess who I found."
Yeah.
As soon as he sees the big dude whose name I don't think we ever heard, or at least I don't remember hearing his name. You may already know it.
I don't remember his name.
Okay. Well, I didn't hear his name either. So her big husband, her big burly teddy bear,
Yeah.
he's just standing there staring. Ed's face is, just in shock.
The blood literally drains from it. He turns blue.
So his immediate reaction was to run to the window as fast as he could and get away, and only to get kicked in the face once he got open the window. And their teacher bursts in through the window and starts chastising Ed. And then she's like, "Where's Al?" And Al's like, "It's right here. It's me." She's like, "Oh, of course." And then she's like, "What?" So, little kind of shocked by all that and everything, but she didn't quite pick up on everything as of yet, or at least she didn't say anything. But I don't think she quite. I don't know if she had figured it out then or later, but whatever. She let it set for a moment. So I kind of felt like she already knew, but I guess not. Anyway, we cut to Mustang playing chess with an older general, and he asked him for a favor to bring his own team back to Central since he's being transferred back to Central. And which I guess the rumors were true, huh? Then we go right back to the brothers being tied up on a train headed to Dublin. And Winry starts asking questions. She's like, "I don't remember her." And they're like, "Well, you met her." And she's like, "I don't remember that." So they do a flashback, and we get to see the boys when they were younger, along with Winry, and they're just out and about doing whatever. And they finally make it back to their house. And that evening, they were kind of thumbing through some alchemy books and whatnot, and they mention this ball and war and how
it wasn't the Ishbal War.
It wasn't?
Nope.
So there was another war?
Not necessarily a war. There is, which they end up touching on it a little more, but there is basically I wouldn't call it a fairy tale, but like a folk legend or whatever, or at least that's how they perceive it, as it's not really a true story. Kind of like the Greek gods type thing. But there was a city that disappeared without a trace in the middle of the night. And it's supposedly the first time a Philosopher's Stone was ever created.
No, just how they kind of vaguely went over the events. I thought that's what they were talking about, but now that I'm thinking about it, they did make it sound like it was something farther back, and considering that would have been during the time it was actually going on or had happened recently.
Yeah, so it's like there's supposed to be like no survivors. Like everybody was just poof, gone.
My bad. I just I heard the story and I thought, oh, that's what they're talking about. It's what made sense to me. Anyway, as they're thumbing through the books, they come across the transmutation spell. The one that would set them on their path to do their evil deeds of taboo.
Their evil deeds of taboo.
But as they were going to have dinner with Winry and her grandmother, there was a bad storm happening. I guess there were some levees or a dam or something that was going to burst. So they decide, hey, we're gonna go help out. And they go out there, they try to help, and they fail.
Yeah.
They tried. I give them credit. They tried, but they were still youngsters. They weren't who they are today. If they'd have failed today in their state, then yeah, there's a problem, because they should have been able to fix that no problem. But as children, understandable. So as they're out there trying to help everyone out, that's when the teacher shows up. Mm-hmm. And she whips out her alchemy. Did she not do this without circles?
She did alchemy without circles.
All right.
She did it the exact same way Edward does it.
All right. Pin that, because I'm going to come back to something later.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So she does that. And after she was done, I guess she mentioned they were just passing through. And then she spits up blood.
Yeah.
And I was like, So I'm assuming she lost a child. Is that when this happened? Right then and there?
No.
Okay, so I was just...
No. Yeah, no.
Well, because there was such an odd thing that happened in that moment, and they just kind of glossed over it, and then, granted, later they touch on it, gloss over it again.
Yeah, you find out more about it, but the spitting up blood isn't technically from the losing the child. It's what she does, which I'm sure you can put two and two together.
She got cancer?
No. Okay, maybe you can't put two and two together. That's okay.
What am I missing? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Spitting up blood is not a common trait.
She lost a child.
Yeah.
Take away the spitting up blood for now. She lost a child.
Yes.
She can do the same type of alchemy that only Edward can do.
Okay.
What would they have in common?
Dead loved ones?
Why can Edward do that type of alchemy?
I don't know. Because he tried to transmute his mom?
Uh-huh.
So did she try to transmute her baby?
Yep.
See, this is going to be something that we're going to explain later. You shouldn't just tell me now.
You were asking.
I was.
But yes, so the spitting up blood is her equal exchange.
Ew. Gross. Okay.
Well, you find out why she spits up blood,
All
basically.
Right. Well, then don't tell me if they're going to explain all this later. It seemed like an odd thing. She spit up blood. Next thing you know, she's in a hospital, but
you'll get used to it.
Okay. But the townsfolk are, kind of surrounding her in the hospital, saying thanks for whatever. And then the brothers burst in, and they're just like, we want to be your apprentices. And she's like, nah. But they're just like, please, can we just be your apprentices? Because we just want to learn everything we can. And then she wants to know why. And obviously they weren't 100% with her, but I feel like the reasoning they gave is half right. We want to help people. We want to do good things. We want to be just good people. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, that's fair enough. And after Panaka comes in to kind of explain, because she did ask about their parents, she came in. She's like, they don't have parents, but I raised them. They're good boys. And it was at that point she reluctantly agrees. And she says if they can't figure it out in, a month, then she's going to be sending them back.
She's going to test them, and if they fail, then she'll send them back. But if they pass, then she will teach them alchemy.
Yeah. So on the train to Dublin, we learn that the teacher does not like state alchemists.
No, she does not.
Immediately. It was just like the moment it was brought up, she was like, how dare you? They're the worst of the worst. So her and Scar would get along great.
Yeah.
Now, back in the present day, the duo finish their story, and then they decide they're going to slip out undetected, only to be caught the moment they exit the door.
Yeah.
So they tried, but they failed. Then we see Mustang's team getting a call each. They all assemble in his office, and he informs them all that they're going to Central whether they like it or not. End of story. And one, I can't remember which one it was particularly. He seemed like he was a little, was he not wanting to go? Was that what he was trying to do?
He wants to go.
Okay, he did.
He was asking Mustang to go, but he was originally under Hughes.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
So I think Mustang, obviously, he lets him go.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was one of those, because he worked under Hughes, he's definitely an asset, and I think Mustang knows that he can trust him, or at least for now. Everything,
Yeah.
He has his team assembled. Right. He has his Avengers.
Dun, 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 dun,
See, they even have Hawkeye.
Anyway, back in Dublin, they kind of walk through the town, kind of reminiscing, and then they meet an old friend whose name I didn't catch at all. He seems like a big lug, like a strong guy of the town, and he goes up to Ed and he's like, you've grown a little bit, haven't you? He's like, And he's like, and who are you? And he's like, looking at Al, and he says, I'm Al. And he's like, oh, shit, that was a bit of a growth spurt, wasn't it? And so you got to think people just got to follow through, because I was sitting there thinking, I was like, they can't tell people about that. So,
yeah.
Anyway, so I feel like it's going to be a hard secret at some point, seeing how big he is, but
yeah, especially if you knew him as a kid.
Yeah. So they all sit around later, discussing their exploits at dinner. I guess everything they've kind of been through, and I'm sure they left out certain details. But this is when the question of Izumi having children came up.
Mm-hmm.
Wen got sucked right out of the room. Everybody was like, I think we got to go outside. And then she seemed like it wasn't so heartbreaking. Like, you kind of see it was bothering her a little bit, but she didn't break. It was just kind of like, even the husband was giving her the little pat and whatever. Just, you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm good. So she's a strong woman. She's dealt with it. I'm sure it still gets you every now and again. Then the brothers and everybody are outside. They're about to do a little alchemy show, I guess, or just kind of mess around or whatever. Yeah. And then you get a bunch of kids running up to the teacher, and they're just wanting to fix my train, use alchemy. And I felt like this was a great example to show what kind of teacher she was. Because in that moment, she was like, no, we're not going to use alchemy. You're going to fix this damn thing just as it is. We're going to use this, and we're going to fix it. And the kids don't understand. And I like that they continue to use children for a lot of these examples, because they don't understand. And much how you could view Ed and Al in that same regard, how they're reflecting that same attitude, where the kids think it's just going to fix everything. Alchemy fixes everything, and these kids need to be taught it's not going to fix. It could have fixed the train, but she wants them to understand it doesn't need to be used for everything. You can fix it yourself. You can use basic little things. It didn't need to be fixed that way. Just fix it. Yeah. So I thought that was a good lesson for them for children to learn, or anybody to learn for that matter. If you can fix it one way, you don't have to use alchemy for every damn thing under the sun. Yeah. So don't do it. So I appreciated that out of her. And then it was around that same time you had another kid show up, and we had run into her when they were kind of walking through the town earlier, and she was a little girl that had a cat, and said something about her having kittens. And then she came running up saying that she needed help with her cat, and apparently a dog did the dog get it?
Yes, the dog.
Okay, so the dog attacked the cat, but the cat got up on the roof to get away from it. And of course, Al shows up, scares off the dog, and then Ed climbs up the house to try and find the cat. He finds the cat. She's had her kittens, but she seems a little worse for wear. There's blood all over the roof, and one of the kittens goes to fall off, and he uses alchemy to catch it, makes another hand. He's getting good at making hands out of buildings. and they get the cat down.
Mm-hmm.
Kittens are fine, but the mama cat is dead, and the little girl struggles to understand. She's very much in that same mindset of a child saying, well, just, you can fix her, can't you? You can use the alchemy, you can do that. And she's like, doesn't work that way. Trying to get her to understand that. And she said, I can help you make a grave. I can help you do all these other things, and tried to get her to understand that you just cannot bring a person back from the dead. But there are ways to look at it through different eyes. Like the cat will still live on in the kittens, and there are other ways to look at it. So as they have this cat funeral, and the little girl goes back to town with Winry and all that, the teacher's left with Ed and Al, and that's when she calls them out.
Yeah.
She's like, you have auto mail, and you are nothing but a suit of armor, aren't you? And of course, they're just like, well, yeah. And I don't even, correct me if I'm wrong, she wastes no time in just beating the living piss out of them without really questioning the whys.
She asked why.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She's like, why?
And he said, we transmuted our mother. And as soon as those words left his mouth, she kicked him straight in the fucking face.
But she did ask. She's like, did you see it?
Yes.
Like,
and that's going to come back into play too, because she's not talking about the heap on the floor.
Because I was curious about that. But she's like, did you see it? And we kind of get a glimpse of what he did see.
The it that she's talking about is why they can do what they can do. That's why she knew as soon as he did it, he performed human transmutation.
Okay.
Because only the people who do that can see this particular thing.
See, I was wondering about that, because that was during that question when she was saying, well, you've got auto mail and you're an armor. And she's like, and you performed alchemy without a transmutation circle. And I was like, well, so did you. So, okay. So a lot of things are starting to kind of come back together. So how has nobody else figured that out either?
Because nobody else knows these people who have done it.
Ah.
Because if they would have known him, they would have been locked up or probably put to death, because it's taboo.
So if that ever comes out, if someone learns that secret and shares it with everybody, they're in deep shit. Because everybody else seems very fascinated by it, who we've come across before. It's like, wow, he doesn't even do a circle. Oh my God.
Yep.
You know, okay. That's interesting. That is an interesting wrinkle. But even after she beats the piss out of him, she gives him a hug.
Yeah.
But I felt like, they kind of, from where she was standing, I understand 100% why she gave them the thrashing she did. Because watching her talk to the other kids, watching how she teaches, whether it was watching her teach them or watching her teach the kids in town, they went against everything she taught them.
Yep.
And just, it was almost like a spit in the face. And she was like, God damn it. What did I teach you? And you didn't listen, and you did it anyway.
And then to watch these two boys that I'm sure, obviously she has a love for them. And I have no doubt she views them, as the children she never got to have. So I feel like it's that whole, she definitely saw herself in them, but also it's you made the same mistake I did, even though they don't know about her yet. Like, I'm sure Ed has to have his suspicions about it, but they don't know specifically about, who it was.
I feel like he could piece it together now.
Probably, yes.
It seems like, just from because the transmutation with the hands, or being able to do that without a circle, I made a note of that in my head when she asked him, because I thought that was odd, because I was like, well, she did it too. So why are you questioning why he can do it when you can do it? So I felt like there had to be a reason. So it has to do with doing what they do. Okay.
Of course, I might be mistaken. They might actually do a flashback where they find out about the child. Because I know there's a flashback where you see all of it play out. But I can't remember 100% if they tell Ed and Al when they were younger or if it's something that happens when they're older.
Sure. Well, in any case, I mean, she's definitely an interesting character, and I can't wait to see more of her. I respect a lot of the way that they laid her character out. She is very kind and forthright about what she's trying to teach. She has a very strict discipline to it, and if it's not followed to the T, yeah, she gets angry, because I feel like it's a very simple philosophy that she follows, and it's for the betterment of everybody, especially when you think the whole alchemy thing that she told to the kids was definitely one thing that I really appreciated.
Yeah.
Was that it doesn't have to fix everything. You know,
Yeah.
you can do it yourself. Now, granted, I know that in a lot of cases that we've seen Ed and Al, you have to use it, but in a lot of cases, for just the little frivolous things that you'll see, because people would do that. You know, people would do that if that was in the real world today and people could do that. It would be using it for every little thing that they could think of.
It'd be no different than if magic existed.
Yeah.
People would be, I mean,
exploit it.
I'm can't be one to talk. I would freaking magic my dishes to be cleaned. I'd Mrs. Weasley this whole damn house.
And it's understandable at some point, you know, you'd be tempted to do so, but I feel like there's more of a lesson there. It's like, you know, just taking the easy way versus learning a trade, or just the satisfaction of knowing that you did it yourself a certain way, as opposed to just being like bang boom pow and then it's fixed. So there's a lesson in there, you know.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I really like that aspect of her. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of her and where her story goes, because introducing a character like that, I feel like she needs to be around for a little while.
Oh yeah. And her husband's name is Sig.
Sig. I would have never guessed. He doesn't look like a Sig.
S-I-G, Sig.
Sig. Little bug. Yeah, he's just a big bear of a human being.
He is.
Quiet, soft-spoken, but...
He is very quiet.
It's okay. I mean, you don't need him to be saying much.
No.
She's the talker. He's the muscle, but she can handle her own, so... He's just a backup muscle.
Yeah. He's the initial intimidation to kind of throw you off, and then she comes in for the kill.
Yeah. So it's a wonderful package deal that they just kind of strike from two ends. It's like, oh, you think it's going to be him? No, pa-pa!
And they love each other so much. I know you haven't got to see much of them, but like...
I mean, you could tell when he was asking her about when they brought up the kid, that he was trying to be comforting, like he knew it probably hit her wrong, and I could tell that was a loving husband right there.
Oh yeah,
because he knew, and she was like, "No, I'm good, that's fine." And he's like, "All right, just checking," which is fine. You know, that's what a good husband does, I think, or a good spouse in general. You know, you see your significant other in dire strait or just looking sullen, you want to comfort them. You want to do what you can. Sometimes you can't, but you just try your best.
Yep.
That's all you can do. Words of wisdom for all you people out there. Good relationship is communication and just listening, even if you're not having to listen to someone speak. You listen through action.
Yeah, what he said.
I know what I mean.
All right. Well, I don't have anything more to say about it. Do you?
No, I think I'm good. Like I said, we're getting introduced to new characters, and I'm eager to see where they go.
Right? So exciting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, take it out.
Well, Weebs, as usual, go listen on your favorite podcasting app. Tell your friends to listen on their favorite podcasting app. And if you're all just excited and want to share reviews and leave reviews, you can do that on that app. And if you want to listen to episodes early, you can do that on Patreon at patreon.com/pencilpaperproductions. And if nothing else, you can go to pencilpaperproductions.com/inspiredweeaboo to keep up with the show and any and all things from there. Links are down below.
All right, my little weebs, we will see you next time.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.